Hi, my name is Yusuf Arsim, and today I'll be discussing the different sound waves and the formula of the speed of sound. There are two types of sound waves, longitudinal and transverse. Longitude waves is when the particle of a wave moves back and forth along the path of the wave, while transverse waves is when the particles move perpendicular to the direction of the wave. Waves on a string or water are some examples of transverse waves. When figuring out a formula to determine the velocity of a sound wave, we need to understand two terms, which is period and wavelength. Period is the amount of time for a wave to complete one cycle, while wavelength is the distance from one point on a wave to the same point on the next wave. Since speed is defined to be distance over time, we can determine the velocity of a wave by using wavelength over the period. So now we know the basics, we will try to practice a problem, which is to the right. So this graph presents a wave that is 28 meters long, which is like the distance, with a trough of 8 and a crest of -2. The wavelength is determined by dividing the distance, which is in meters, over the number of cycles. So the wavelength is distance over number of cycles. So the distance, which they give us, is 28, and the number of cycles can be determined by looking at the graph. So one cycle, we can use a different color. One cycle goes from here all the way and stops like right here. That's one. Another one. That's two. That's three. And then the last one is a half. So 3.5 cycles. Alright, so 3.5. So when we divide these two, we get the wavelength, which is 8. Then the period is the time over the number of cycles. So the time which they give us is 9 seconds, so 9 over the number of cycles, which was determined to be 3.5. This will give us 2.57. Alright, so to determine the speed of this wave, we take the wavelength, which is 8, and divide it over the period, which is 2.57. So velocity of the wave is equal to 8 over 2.57, which is 3.1128 meters per second. And that's it. Thank you, and hope you have a wonderful day.